Welcome back, everyone. I am the Depressio, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 13. So this week they are doing the some Apex month event thing, where they're adding Friday time slots to do some Apex. And if you are below gold rank, the amount of points you lose whenever you lose a match is reduced. Which I am in silver, so I guess it is somewhat helpful. Which I guess, spoiler, I did have some losses. It was against one was against an AoE box. The other one was actually kind of just against a tank push. In fact, both of them were tank push, and I've been actually having trouble against that, which is kind of funny since I've been doing tank push as well. It's a lot of poor decisions with ban pick as well as just in the battle itself. I trade units I really can't afford to trade and things like that. So I'm kind of been reassessing how to do the box. It's going to change anyway because new characters are coming out, I believe, next week, and that's going to definitely change things up because that's going to give me access to strategic faction buffer as well as a new way of bypassing guard and another AoE type archer character that I could possibly use as well. So one thing that I've definitely been kind of running into is since Lightbringer's a lot more popular now, Shafaniel's ability to just dispel guard is not really that effective anymore. The other issue, of course, is the way I have to bypass guard besides dispelling it essentially is to use Yulia, which unfortunately Yulia just doesn't keep up. She's too slow, and even with the self-reses and stuff, she dies too easily, and it just doesn't work out, unfortunately. So I'm probably going to end up replacing her with someone else and see how they play. One thing I'll probably start doing is putting a little bit of stuff that can bypass guard, just so my opponent can try to prioritize banning them. That'll give me a bit more flexibility as far as picking healers and other units are concerned. But you'll see more of that possibly in the upcoming weekend. Sorry about that. My throat's a bit scratchy. All right, but yeah, you're gonna see a bigger change when the new characters come out, and it's gonna change again with the following month and all that. So there's gonna be a lot of changes, which is gonna be kind of fun to try out, but it's also gonna be probably more growing pains for me. In any case, one thing I did enjoy in this week, even though I lost a number of matches, they were all kind of unique as far as the box is concerned. A lot of them had the staples like Jintoki and all that, but they also had characters like Hein and some other characters that I don't see as often anymore. Speaking of, Lord Kuma here has SP Grenier, has Joshua, Rio. You don't really see Kagura that often in the global meta, and honestly, we don't even see Tensei Jessica anymore. And then we got SP Ledin. I believe that's Ledin. I forget names. Anyway, with that, it looks more like a striker box, though there is some AoE in it. But the big things to note is Rio, because he has the ability to negate resing or self-resing. So I went and banned their Sword and Light and Shadow. They banned my Rose and Seal, which is something I see very often. A lot of my opponents will immediately ban Rose and Seal, which really sucks, because it really limits my options. So my opponent takes Rose and Seal. I go ahead and ban Jintoki and Rodham. Not Rodham, sorry, Wedham. And I take Lightbringer. One thing I haven't been taking advantage of is Christiane is actually a better tank when it comes to surviving against like magic AoE because of her aura, and she has the ability to give units additional resistance against AoE damage. But a lot of times I tend to get kind of autopilot and just pick Lightbringer over and over again when when Christiane can actually perform it slightly better. Yeah, so speaking of Rio, there's Rio. At this point, I'm just trying to prevent things like stuns and things that could potentially one-shot Lightbringer. I also went and got rid of Christiane to force my opponent to pick a tank. Both tanks are going to be troublesome. SP Grenier is not something you see too often, but when he's around, he can catch people off guard because his ability to counterattack at extreme range and have first strike when counterattacking, it can wipe out mages before they can even attack you, or before they can attack him. Speaking of, there's a speaker near. At this point, I'm just getting rid of casters. I go ahead and take Langrisser. Now, Langrisser can actually get killed by Grenier's first strike counterattack. But if I can get around it, SP Grenier is pretty vulnerable against magic once you get past his initial damage reduction from his troop choice. It used to be SP Grenier couldn't even guard against magic, now he can. Right, so yeah, my opponent took 2 healers. I am making an effort to build Elma, and I'm going to try to get used to using her, because the healers I have are just not cutting it when it comes to dealing with AoE, especially since my opponent seems to zero in on taking out my healers very early now. So I am going to see about trying to use her a bit more, since she has a lot of off-turn healing potential. Also, she has the ability to kind of reflect, to completely nullify debuffs through her own means with her little mirrors and stuff like that. I am kind of glad. It's a little annoying that Sissy White's around, because that's an act again, as well as a potential secondary tank. But I'd rather deal with that than deal with whatever Ledin could do, because he could just yank people away and negate guard. And as for me, as for my side, I went ahead and took Sophia. Sophia overall just for more healing. I don't think I had an option in this case. Yeah, they banned the majority of my healers at this point. Yeah. So, Shafaniel I took because I can dispel a bunch of stuff, even with all the extra buffs that are going to be coming their way. Also, my opponent is all healing here. We got 3 healers, 1 DPS. Grenier can attack some, but it's not really something to rely on. Most of his damage is from counterattacking. So, Elma, 3C, Light Mirror, and Heal. Sissy White, Mass Attack, 3C Heal. Rio. So, he has an attack that can strike twice. And his 3C can strike twice. Now, I got confused. I thought his ability to negate self-resing was a debuff, like it was with Sword and Light Shadow. It is not. It's a 1-tile span aura that comes up for 1 turn. So, look forward to that. Grenier here. So his big thing is his Ballista support. He gets the ability to increase. He gets increased counterattack range corresponding to the number of allies with it next to him. He only gets this buff if he ends his turn beside somebody, but he's a tank, so he's going to be doing that. He gets the ability to first strike on counterattack and get increased range. Since he's going to have people around him, he's going to have like +4 range for his counterattack usually, which means he has 6 counterattack range. And then his 3C gives him the ability to guard everything. It also puts out special terrain. He also has access to the faction buff, which always annoys me because Almeda still doesn't have her faction. Still doesn't have a faction buff for her. The other thing that makes Grenier a bit tough is when he's at full HP, Bolt Rangers will always trigger, which reduces damage by quite a bit. But if you can get past the Bolt Rangers, you'll be in good shape. Anyway, full heal Rosenseal with Bishops, and that is pretty much it. Standard kit Lucretia, Sophia, I went with Rewind because there's no AoE here. I did remember to swap to Holy Guard Mages for Lightbringer because I don't need to worry about magic damage here. Sword and Light Shadow, I went Sword Soul, and Shafaniel standard kit with Shrine Maidens. So it's essentially tank push versus tank push. The big thing here is finding a way to deal with Rio. If I kill Rio, then that is it, because my opponent only has 3 healers and a Grenier. But at the same time, I also wanted to take the center. So I was really aggressive on my movement here. And I go ahead and use Sophia buffs on Sword and Light Shadow. There's the light mirror. And there's the staff. Which I think the staff itself also reduces damage taken. Yeah, my opponent was slow enough that I could just take everyone's turn and then do the faction buff last to maximize its duration. Yeah, it reduces magic damage received. Alright, here's his 3C, which is going to give him some terrain underneath him. The terrain gives defense like any kind of like forest terrain, and it also heals, I think. So move in, go ahead and do my 3C. I hit 3 targets, so I'm going to dispel anywhere from 3 to 4 buffs. Yeah, I'm not concerned about any of the healing, I just want to get rid of buffs as quickly as possible. Oh, I see. Okay, I actually didn't notice this. This is my second time recording this. Originally, I was moving into this point because Ryo's attack range went to here. But with the breeze, it doesn't actually matter. So yeah, me being aggressive was because what I did here is I thought it was a little questionable because Lucretia moving down here would actually put her in range of Ryo even without the buff. But I didn't realize he got a breeze buff. So this is how much he can do. Oh, sorry, I forgot to do. Forgot to change this thing. So yeah, he did that with no. He had a damage buff, and that was it. And then he had whatever his armor does. But yeah, just to put in perspective, it's. Yeah, he negated my armor, which didn't really matter that much. Yeah, and then he attacks a second time. Yeah, just almost one-shot at her. Yeah, and right now he has that buff now, so anything within 2 spaces of him can't self-res. That includes my tank. Now the good news is the only follow-up that's really possible right now is doing an act again, but she opted instead to go ahead and do attack buff. Which is funny, because if she had done an attack buff first, Ryo would have gotten kill. But instead of doing the act again, opted for Lancer. So go ahead and move in. My goal is really not to kill anything, it's just to get rid of more of Grenier's buffs. Right now he has a lot of buffs. I dispelled some of them, but there's still a bunch more. Some of these can't be dispelled, thankfully, so they're not counted. So I dispelled 6 buffs. So first strike on me first, and then I counter. I don't remember what Grenier's helmet does, but it procs a lot. Alright, so yeah, if you look here, yeah, I dispelled pretty much everything. I got rid of the guard buff. Grenier is the only person that can guard against magic, the Lancer cannot. So he opted to move up here to give guard to Ryo. So with that actually leaves pretty much all the healers open. So I go ahead and take out Rosen Seal here. Alright, so now he's going to use his second move, which strikes twice, but he didn't even need the second strike. And I couldn't self-res, so that just kills my tank. And I make a mistake here. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go kill Sissy White. Because I wanted to get rid of all that act again nonsense. And yeah, I forgot about the Lancer. So I could have opted to kill Elma instead, and it probably would have worked a lot better. But I did kill the Lancer, so they have less guard at the moment. So yeah, here comes the desperate measures. Now the good news is he's already acted. And this is my other mistake. So I was trying to hope to kill this thing, but it didn't happen. I should have just did an AoE instead. I think I could have done Demolish and get rid of some buffs, but I didn't. But yeah, since Rio has already acted again, his aura is gone, so I don't have to worry about this negating self-reses. Alright, bunch of healing. Go ahead and do rewind to get everyone healed up. I mainly did it for the healing. Alright. So yeah. Kills easily, but I could self-res thankfully. So I go ahead and move down. Do Dark Reaper to heal up. Didn't get kill. This thing's remarkably durable. But since nothing, Grenier's Guard is still down, I could finish it off with the puppet here. So that gets rid of that. It does count as a summon, so it does give a coin to Sissy White there. Alright, so at this point I go ahead and do Divine Judgment again. We'll dispel 3 to 4 buffs since I'm hitting more than 3 or more targets rather. So I pretty much got rid of all the mirrors. Yeah, Grimir his stuff is still on cooldown, so he can't even get his faction buff up. So at this point I'm just trying to hit him a bunch. I think I dispelled his counterattack thing, so he doesn't get first strike this time. I do, though. Yeah, as you can see, Grenadier doesn't do very much damage. But against something like a mage, he can be pretty surprising. Even some assassins he can kill pretty quick. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, when he counterattacks, he does a lot more damage. So I go ahead and attack, mainly just to do a little to finish off the rest of those bolt rangers. So now he's by himself. Also, I wasn't really in any danger of being attacked by Rio. Speaking of Rio, he is completely out of skills, so he can only do a normal attack against Shrine Maidens, so he can't get kill. So yeah, at this point, he is within counterattack range because of his ability. He first strikes, but he's by himself, so he does far less damage, and he's not that good against magic. So I finish him off completely, so now there's no tank on either side. And I go ahead and use the puppet just to do some extra damage against Rio there. He is using Mass Maid, so he does take some fixed damage. And this is crazy. So he does his 3C. And my wolves finish him off before he can actually do it. When I usually play matches, I don't use animations, obviously. So all I saw was his life bar go down to 0 when he did his 3C on Sword and Light and Shadow. And Sword and Light and Shadow is not an assassin, so she doesn't really have super high attack rate. But his 3C is so slow that he just gets shredded. And so at that point he gives up because he does have self-resing, but his self-res only triggers when he's attacking. So that's why he self-res when he failed to kill Sword and Light and Shadow. Even if he did get killed on Sword and Light and Shadow, Lucretia would have been able to just finish off everybody at that point. There's not really much they could have done. So overall, pretty fun fight. The losses I had weren't... it sucked that I lost and made a bunch of mistakes, but they were kind of neat matches as far as seeing different setups. like I said, I guess the crazy thing is, while I have a lot of issues with AoE rush and assassin rush sometimes, in this case they weren't really rush boxes, they were just tank pushes, and I didn't have an answer for it. I used to have answers for tank pushes. Usually it's just to overwhelm them, but it wasn't working out that way for me. So I've been kind of making adjustments to the box to see what will happen with it. The thing that kind of slows down adjustments of the box is the fact that casting enchants take a lot of time and resources. This week everything's been open, so I can kind of grind whatever I want. And unfortunately, in order to get people up to speed, I kind of have to use a lot of those to get them to at least some sort of reasonable level, since those stats do matter. And I also have to prepare for the new characters that are coming out, so it's a lot of stuff to juggle around. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I am the Depressed Hero. This is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 13. I'll see you guys later.